Hi there, Earth Nation. This is Amanda with the Activated Earth, and this is my Summit 2023, where we are diving into nature connection. It's one of the things that I really love. I love to be outside, and I found a group of people that I'm very much inspired by. One of them is Jess Wimmer here, and I'm going to read her bio to you right now. So Jessica Wimmer grew up on folklore in the Appalachian Mountains of Southwest Virginia. A childhood of being barefoot on the earth made her see nature as our truest home and our relationship with it one of the most rewarding we get to experience. It's Jessica's mission to remind us what it means to be human upon the earth. She believes nature is calling us back to our innate rhythms, slower ways of living, and ancestral traditions where we can live healthier and more whole. I really love how succinct and focused your bio is and what your purpose is here. And the first thing I'm really inspired to ask you is, what does it mean to live as a human on the earth? What does that mean?
Oh, isn't that like the big question we're all here to answer? um, well, for me, as one person on the earth, I think I think it can all be summed up in the umbrella that we are nature, to remember that we are nature. Um, and I think that the part of that is to look at what nature is doing and do that to be healthiest and happiest. Slowing down, looking at the rhythm of nature, seeing how nothing in nature is hurried, but everything happens right on time as it needs to. Everything's working together. It's a very well-oiled tapestry. Whatever creator designed it did a great job. And I think the more that we remember that we are not separate from that nature, what we think of as nature, and work with it, I think the more whole we will feel. And I think we see that anytime we kind of work against our natural rhythms, our natural kind of needs, that's when we experience a lot of dis-ease, however, physically, mentally, spiritually. So I think for me, just being human upon the earth is to remember that we are of the earth and to lean into that instead of away from it.
Yeah, I love that. I realize that, following the rhythm of the seasons and like daylight and darkness, those are pretty obvious things. But when you talk about watching what nature does and do that, can you give me an example of that maybe people haven't really considered? Because so many people aren't really watching. They're not really watching nature.
Um,
I'd love to hear something unique.
well, I don't know how unique it is, but several years ago, I, really looked at cyclical living, which I know has become kind of like a buzz term in a lot of circles, but truly, especially as a woman who has cycles built in, noticing that nature is not producing 24/7. There are built-in times of rest, renewal, times it goes underground, quite literally, times it shines, times that, creativity is on, full throttle. And seeing a lot of patterns of burnout in my life when I was younger, especially in my 20s, and just seeing like, oh, why do I think that I can, be more productive than nature? um, I need periods of rest and renewal too. I need periods of blossoming, unfolding. I can't be at maximum production all day, every day, year round, year after year. So for me, I've kind of switched to a more seasonal way of living, as far as how I structure kind of my outer life. there is a time for a lot of productivity and socializing and being very externally focused. I do a lot of that kind of in the summer, which is natural for us to do. And then, of course, in the winter, I kind of use that as my, dream time. I'm not really going to take on a lot of projects. I'm not going to plan any big trips or try to, just bite off more than I can chew. Like, this is a time for rest and just kind of reflection on the year and just dreaming what I want for next year and just kind of hibernating. And then I think kind of, a more narrow circle within that is, as a woman, kind of honoring the different points of my personal cycle, and not pushing at times that my body needs rest, and fully utilizing when my body has those, jolts of energy at different points in my cycle. So just letting my body be cyclical has been a huge shift for me in reducing a lot of the burnout that I used to experience, and made me tune into what my body needs. And again, we are nature. My body needs everything that nature does. So again, leaning into that instead of trying to fight against it.
Would you say that you are actually more productive being that way instead of trying to be productive all the time, like all year round?
Yeah, I mean, I'm someone who naturally likes to have a lot of things going on. I like having a lot of like projects going on, a lot of things on the calendar. Um, but I used to, get really excited about these like 18 things I'm doing at once. And then inevitably I would run out of steam and not be able to finish half of it, or not be able to do my best at all of it, and would come away feeling not very fulfilled with it. And it's really been a learning process of less is more, slowing down and, giving 100% to 2 or 3 things instead of 10 things, 50% to 10 things, has been a huge lesson for me. And yeah, I find that when I take those periods of rest, I can sustain myself longer. My brain is sharper. I'm more creative. I am, you know, better in all of my relationships. So yeah, when I rest, I am able to give 100%, which I think makes me so much more productive than what I used to do of this kind of like churn and burn with projects.
Burn, I love that. That's a great way to call it. That it really kind of blows up when you do that.
Yeah.
I'm wondering, there was something that you said in one of your posts around the difference in the energy of like the Appalachian area and where you are now. I was wondering if you could describe that, if you'd like to, because I'm curious what you feel is different and maybe why is it different?
Yeah, that's a good question. And I definitely, don't mean to sound biased in where I'm from versus where I live now. I live in North Carolina now, Eastern North Carolina. And it's been an interesting journey of learning the energies of a place.
Mhm.
Yeah, I grew up in the Blue Ridge Mountains in Southwest Virginia. And I think that everyone's kind of soul or innate energy just like has a home somewhere, somewhere that they thrive and they feel at home. And it's not even necessarily where they were born or where they grew up, but just something speaks to them there. They have a relationship with that place. Just the land, the plant life there, the animals, the mountains, the scenery, whatever it is, that place says home to them. And I guess I was just lucky that where I was born was that place for me. You know, as a hillbilly in the mountains, I don't know, that was just, uh, and for generations, both sides of my family was there. And it was very, red dirt, mountain views out the front and the back of the house, and um, pine trees and dandelions. And I don't know, it just, that very much felt like home to me. And after grad school, I moved to a big city that felt very much like a culture shock for me. Less, fewer underdeveloped areas, or fewer kind of untouched areas, and harder to find nature that wasn't like fabricated spots of like, go here for nature. And that was really hard for me. It's been hard to get used to not being able to walk outside, and that is the norm, that you were just like surrounded by earth, by all of the elements, just like having it very accessible. It has been harder to, I don't know, feel at home, feel whole without those things that I think make me feel human. Yeah, a place that is so developed, I think is challenging for me, and I think it is for a lot of people. If maybe they're not even aware of it. But I think these areas that are really built up, and where you have to seek out a natural spot instead of natural spots being the norm. I don't know, I think part of us yearns for that. I know that I'm really sensitive to that, and I yearn for that. So yeah, I guess I am a little biased. I don't know if city life is for me long term. But yeah, wherever your soul calls. I mean, maybe some people's soul does yearn for this kind of very populated, very busy, lots of stuff going on kind of area. But I think for me, something slower, quieter, easy to be barefoot is kind of what like my body, my spirit longs for. Yeah.
Do you think it has helped you hone your skills at connecting with whatever nature that you can find by
Oh
being?
yeah. Like I've sought out every park in my area. I know all the good spots. And thankfully I've now moved a little bit out of the city to where, there are areas to hike and to, do a little foraging, or just to, go out in the woods when you need to be alone sometimes. Thankfully, I'm a little further out where I have those areas. And it definitely does the spirit good for me. Yeah, if you are in that situation of you've moved to a more kind of urbanized area and you are longing for that nature connection, I think yeah, get good at finding those spots, and not just the spots that are designated, like parks, kind of designated green areas, but find some that are secrets for you, where it's just, it's kind of a secret between you and that little natural spot. I think that's really fun, and that's really important for us to have this kind of like untouched natural spot that's just for you, where you can develop a relationship.
Do you have some of those then? I'm assuming that you would. And what does the relationship feel like?
Yeah, I've definitely sought those out near where I am now. And it's just, you find a tree line that looks good and you walk through, as long as it's public property. And thankfully, there are a lot of wooded areas where I'm at now, kind of, on the outskirts of my neighborhood that are beautiful once you go inside. And I think that that feeling of, well, no one has stood right here in a really long time. I'm the only one who has touched this tree in a really long time, and I'm the only one who comes here and observes, how the sunlight comes through the trees, um, or monitors day after day what these birds are doing in this nest, um, or noticing the leaves fall. Like, this is just between me and this little spot, this little patch of woods. That's really special to me, and I think it's kind of magical to know that um there's something personal about it. There's something that feels intimate about it, just kind of like between me and nature. And um obviously I would take anyone there. I want everyone to experience it, but I know it's kind of nice to have a spot that isn't just kind of like blown through every day by people. It's quiet, it's still, and it's doing its own thing, and it's nice to just go observe that.
I guess you would be feeling much more pure energy from the area, like when it isn't being blown through by a lot of people. I've noticed that when I'm somewhere where I'm trying to connect with what's there, I can get distracted by people that are just walking through it as fast as they can. Um, when you are, when you're in that connection, um, because what I've read of the way you speak about nature and all of the things that are in nature, I feel just this like this deep appreciation and gratitude coming from you towards everything that is there. And I'm wondering what that does. How does that come back around? What kinds of things do you get to receive when you are in that kind of space?
Hmm, good question. Well, maybe I'll date myself, but I'm a Disney child. I'm a very product, but we're much a product of the 90s Disney movies. Pocahontas was my favorite Disney movie, and I think it would best be summed up in when I can go just kind of commune with nature in a quiet spot. It's very much grandmother Willow vibes, if that resonates with anyone. Um, I just feel like I'm kind of surrounded by this grandmother energy, that there's just so much wisdom, so much serenity, so much peace, so much love, um, so much safety. Um, yeah, I just feel like there are, I'm surrounded by hundreds of very wise, ancient, loving spirits, I guess. There's just an energy with all of the trees, the plant life that has been growing there for decades or centuries. Everything it's seen, everything it knows, um, the connection that it all has, to function as it does. I just feel really supported, really welcomed, loved, at peace. Yeah, just, I don't know, there's something that really moves me about it, coming from my kind of routine daily life of like moving really quickly, being on, doing work on a laptop all day, phone going off constantly, just like this do, like hustle culture, traffic. Um, and then I go step in that, and I don't know, something says to me, like, you can take it all off here. Like, you can just drop your bags. We're not asking anything of you. You can just be. And we fully accept that. we love that for you. Like
Mhm.
you can just breathe here. And that's everything. Just breathe. Um, like your presence is enough. And I don't know, that feels really good. It feels really needed. I think we all need that. A place where nothing is expected of us, presence is enough. Um, and I have a lot of gratitude for that. I think that's where I feel most loved, actually. Um, yeah, endless gratitude for that.
Yeah, that's beautiful. I totally have the same experience when I get out of my head and I can actually walk out the door and I live in the country. So I can walk out the door and just be in it whenever I need it. And the earth just has a beautiful way of absorbing everything. And I it also like the idea of walking barefoot. I've been doing that the last few days, purposefully like doing a mindful walking meditation and walking barefoot, and it's been really wonderful.
Yeah.
um I was wondering if being barefoot as a child is something that helped you develop this connection. I'd love to hear how you developed it, because we don't all of us do, even though we might be outdoor kids. Like I could be dating myself. We didn't have, all of these gadgets. We went outside to play. We were outside all day. So I guess I'd love to hear your origin story. I'm wondering if barefoot walking helped.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely don't think that I or anyone else was conscious of it at the time. It was just the natural way of life. Not to be barefoot all the time, but to be outside all the time. Yeah, I grew up, a lot of my uncles were farmers, with cattle and corn, and um, very rural. And I don't know, that was just natural to be outside doing something all the time, gardening. My grandparents even had like the outdoor wash, and the clothesline, and like there was just always work to be done outside. The kids were always outside playing. Um, so yeah, I think it was just very natural. I feel fortunate about that. I don't think there was anything conscious about it. That I'm connecting with the earth, or what I'm doing right now is grounding, or um, this makes me healthier. Like I don't think there's any thought of that. It was just play. It was play. Um, and it's, as far as my origin story about what I think led me to this kind of relationship that I have with nature, is that it's in a way all I knew growing up. Like nature was almost like a part of the family. Um, because I was out in it so much. So many of my experiences and memories involve it. I was thinking earlier, so many of my memories, when I think back on my childhood, indirectly, nature is the memory. I've never thought of it that way until I was thinking about it earlier today, but so many of my memories are like with my cousins smelling honeysuckle, like going around smelling honeysuckle when it bloomed. Or I had these bushes that line the back of our yard that would just get filled with butterflies. And I loved kind of watching those and following them and tracking where they went. Me and my cousins were just digging in the dirt all the time for some reason. Um, and just being a kid laying on the ground so close up to this other world that's going on beneath your feet. There's this whole other world down there beneath the grass. And when you get eye level with it, um, I don't know, there's just something magical about that, something that reminds you that there's so much going on that's unseen. There's this whole world around you of activity and life and shared experience, and you get to be a part of it. And I don't know, my yard as a child to me just very felt very much like this paradise of um, you know, plant life, huge trees that have been there forever, and wildlife. And I'm very fortunate for that, to have been so kind of up close and personal with nature as a kid, um, and to live somewhere kind of so untouched that I could run around barefoot. um, so many kind of fields around us to where that was totally fine and fun to do. And yeah, just it for me developed this intimacy with the earth without even trying, that now I can look back and feel so fortunate to have had. It is such a blessing to me as I get older, to have that to fall back on.
Yeah, as you were speaking, what I'm hearing and feeling is that you feel connected. That's what it feels like to me when you talk about everything that's under the ground and just realizing everything that's there. It's like this amazing connection with everything. Does that resonate? Does that, I mean, that's the feeling I'm getting. I don't know if that's just me getting that, or if that is really what's happening for you.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely have been told I'm a highly sensitive person. So for better or worse, I think I'm always just really tuned in to everything. For good and bad. Um, I think I'm someone who naturally wants to develop intimacy with everything, certainly everything meaningful to me. Sometimes that comes at a cost, but thankfully with nature, it never does. It's always a mutually
Right.
beneficial, very pleasant experience, a rewarding experience.
Yeah, that's beautiful. Um, I know that you have ways of showing people how to create their connection. Can you share a couple of those?
Yeah, that's largely what the free gift that I want to offer is about. It's kind of just this very brief ebook of very doable ways to build a deeper connection with nature. Because I think it's hard. It shouldn't be hard. It should be, one of the most, intrinsic things for us, to have that connection. But, modern life really gets in the way. And I think even if we were somebody who, that came natural to us as a kid, and that was a big part of our life, and we get older and it's, their responsibilities, there's technology, it's difficult. So I put together this little ebook of very doable things that we can do. And a few of those things are simply just setting aside like 5 minutes each day, whether it's right when you get up, if it's in the evening, if it's your lunch break, whatever it is, 5 minutes, and just go pick a patch outside. It doesn't even have to be the same one every day. If it is, great. But pick a patch of nature that calls to you, whether it is just a grassy spot, a certain tree that calls to you, a plant that calls to you, whatever it is, someplace that feels good to you. And just go like kick your shoes off and sit for a few minutes. And that's all you have to do. Like I think that sometimes people get overwhelmed of, well, I have to do some sort of like meditation, visualization, have some offering, or do something special, or I have to journal, or just like really make something out of it. And all that is great. But if that's overwhelming for you or you don't have time, just go take your shoes off and sit there and just breathe. Just breathe with it, just notice. And I think if you do that enough, you start observing little things going on in that area. You see new buds on the tree, you see, you know, the color of the grass change with the seasons, you see plant life change with the seasons. You learn, the squirrels that come through that area. So that's building a connection. You're listening to it, you're observing, you're breathing with it, you're slowing down and breathing with it. I think that is number one, that's all you have to do. Um, Other things are plant something, care for it, watch it grow, nurture it, notice how it nurtures you. If it's a beautiful flower and you sometimes bring that beauty into your home. If it's food and you one day eat that food, just seeing the reciprocity of nature, caring for nature, giving to nature. They're really easy things that you can do. You don't have to go do, some ritual song and dance in the woods. I would love that.
Yeah, those are fun
But
too.
you don't have to become this very Instagrammable earth goddess. Uh, we can do very simple little things. Just make it a 5 minutes of your day.
Mm. I don't want you to give away all the little goodies that are on your free gift, but I am wondering what you would tell somebody who actually lives in a big city. Like what if you live in a place like London or New York City and finding and you have a regular job in an office and finding a way to nature connect. Would you how would you do it in a place like that?
Yeah, I've never lived anywhere as large as that, but I think that's the experience I had, moving to a really populated city, where there's a lot of concrete.
Yeah.
Um, that was definitely my experience. And, I lived on the third floor of an apartment building, so I literally was not on the ground. I was not touching the land. And I didn't have a patch of grass that I owned, not a single blade of grass that I own. So that was my challenge. And I just started with some plants on my balcony,
Mm.
or even house plants, just like, even if it's just a little house plant, I get to work with this soil. I get to plant the seed or this, this cut that I got off of a bush or something. I get to get my hands in this. I get to grow this. I get to invest in this. I get to see the fruit of this. So no matter where you are, you can plant something, even if it's in a pot on your porch or your kitchen counter. You can plant something. And then, like I was talking about earlier, just finding those natural spots that you can develop a relationship with, whether, a nearby park. Even New York City, you can find a park. You can find a tree that you like. You can find a patch of grass. You can find a quiet bench somewhere that overlooks, something that feels good to you. Finding those little places to become your sanctuaries, your little personal, even if it's just a little 5x5 piece of grass, your little sanctuary. And in a way that kind of makes it more special, that it's your routine place that you go, and you see it change season to season. It knows you. You can still develop a really personal, special relationship doing that. I think anywhere you go, you know, nature is nature, whether it's a tiny park or, you live in sprawling fields. Like nature is nature. You can find something beautiful no matter where you are.
Yeah, definitely. We have we've covered, I think, everything that I was curious about, but I want to make sure that you get to, if there's anything else that you didn't get to express that you want to express, I would love to hear that.
I think just I, I think a big part of my personal journey, and what I try to share with people is often if you are feeling unwell or like something is missing in your life, um, it's often nature, or nature can be a big help. Um, and by nature, I don't just mean, the trees, what you see outside. I mean our natural needs
Mm.
for sunshine, water, good, healthy food, people, connections. That to me is nature. Do as nature does. Nature needs that tree outside my window, needs those other trees. It's in communication with those trees. There's a community happening there. It's all an ecosystem, that we are part of it. So I think if you, like I very much felt several years ago, of just feeling dried out, burnt out, um, missing something, um, look to nature, slow down, refill your cup, um, nurture yourself, um, and just go outside. Going outside has totally shifted every part of my being on my worst days. Go outside. So I think that's what I mean when I say, really being human upon the earth. Um, I think to be our healthiest, happiest, most whole selves, lean into nature, look to nature.
I'm really inspired by uh, this really gentle energy that you have. I really love it, and I just wanted to thank you for sharing yourself in this way. I feel um, like there is an easy flow that comes out of you, and it makes me want to get out more. I mean, I'm outside because this is a farm, but I'm not necessarily connecting. So I feel very inspired to get better connected with my own place because, like you, I moved from somewhere that I really loved and had a deep connection, and I am trying to reestablish a connection here where I am. So I wanted to thank you for your story so much. It's been really wonderful. And how can people contact you if they would like to get in touch? Where would they find you?
Yeah. Well, first, I want to thank you as well. It's like such a treat to be able to pause my work day to talk about nature, things that I love. So thank you for that. Um, People can find me on my Instagram page, my little corner of the internet. It's just Jess_Wimmer. So I'm there on Instagram, talking about nature and my journey, and all are welcome. And yeah, I'll be offering a free little ebook about very simple ways that you can connect with nature to bring a little more magic and peace to your life.
Perfect. Thank you so much. And for those who didn't get that written down, don't worry, it'll be in the email. So thank you so much for agreeing to do this with me. I've been very deeply honored to have this conversation with you today. Thank you.
Yeah, likewise. Thank you.